Sacred Geography, the Nine Ladies Stone Circle. The Nine Ladies is a small, early Bronze Age stone circle located on Stanton Moor in Derbyshire, in the English East Midlands. It is part of a complex of prehistoric circles and standing stones on Stanton Moor, and is within the jurisdiction of the Peak District Light Peak National Park Authority. It is owned and managed by English Heritage. Originally thought to consist of only 9 stones, a drought in 1976 brought to light a 10th stone, which had lain unnoticed for generations beneath the soil. Furthermore, it was found to have been surrounded by an embankment and had once had a mound at its centre. The entire monument is not that big. The stones are set on the inner edge of a slight bank and form a ring, which measures only 11.5 by 10.5 metres, 38 by 34 feet, giving the impression it is of relatively minor importance. Until one realises it represents the holy centre of a giant cosmic egg mapped out onto the landscape, and represents the ether level containing the 7 symbolic planets and the symbolic trinity, with the other elements, earth, water, air and fire, now lost to development and quarrying. And, symbolically, 7 plus 3 equals 10. Perfection. Professor Jocelyn Godwin, Music, Mysticism and Magic. 10 is the number of perfection, the number of the Tetrarchis of the Pythagoreans, the number of the Sephiroth of the Kabbalistic Tree of Life. The 10th string is the one from which, in all these systems, the other 9 hypostases emanate, or alternatively, the one in which they all seek and find their perfection. Psalm 33, verse 2. Praise the Lord with the harp. Make music to him on the 10-stringed lyre. The Sacredness and History of the site. The Nine Ladies site was first originally recorded by Major Hayman Rook in 1782. He noted it even then that there appeared to be stones in the centre of the ring, which formed a small cairn. And during the 18th and 19th centuries, the Nine Ladies attracted the attention of antiquarian Thomas Bateman. General Pitt Rivers' schedule to the first Ancient Monuments Protection Act became law in 1882, and the Nine Ladies site was among the 28 monuments in England and Wales to be included. And since the late 20th century, the Nine Ladies has been regarded as a major sacred site by modern pagan groups. In fact, anyone who deeply respects the great spiritual significance of the site. But after the war, when it was given to English Heritage to maintain, it went into catastrophic decline. Without the pagan groups, the Nine Ladies would have been lost. As a quarry was proposed only 200 metres, 660 feet from Nine Ladies, on land owned by Haddon Hall Estate and leased to Stancliffe Stone. And neither the Peak Park nor English Heritage seemed interested in protecting the site. But thanks to the Nine Ladies anti-quarry campaign, who campaigned tirelessly from 1999 to 2010, living in tree houses on the site was saved, but only just. In 2004, the High Court classified the invading quarries as dormant, but unbelievably, there was an appeal against the decision. In response, the protesters defied the court eviction order in February 2004 and continued to occupy the site until the winter of 2008-9. The continued occupation forced the Peak Park into stating that the quarries could not reopen until the Peak District National Park Authority agreed on a set of working conditions for them. That the Peak Park authorities even considered this at all is unbelievable given their remit. In 2008, permission to quarry near the circle was finally revoked. But we have the protesters to thank, not the Peak Park or English heritage, whose failure on this is shameful. Surroundings. The importance of this site is best appreciated by looking at a standard 1 in 25 Ordnance Survey map of the area around Stanton Moor. The map has been marked by a member of the Nine Ladies anti-quarry campaign in a perhaps vain attempt at the time to show just how important it was in the overall geographical context. Only a brief glance highlights a remarkable profusion of both monuments and natural sites of veneration. This is the Dullstone Circle, and there are numerous marked rocks, springs, mounds, and smaller circles, for example, all in a mighty egg-shaped bowl with the Nine Ladies at its centre. Most of these additional monuments are thought to date from the Bronze Age, about 3,000 to 4,000 years ago, and more than 70 stone cairns and barrows are known. The shape of the site. Stanton Moor is situated on elevated ground to the west of the River Derwent near Bakewell, meaning the River Derwent and a tributary are at the water level. The ground then rises in an egg-shaped hill. Surrounding this great central hill is a ring of hills, the earth. There are now too many buildings and trees to detect where the fire level may have been, but the trees may themselves be the evidence that once a great ring of wood bonfires surrounded this central mound on days of importance. The Spiritual Path and 10. Initiates to the great mystery religions symbolically descended, as Dante did, into the Inferno. Then, after crossing the symbolic outward court, ascended through the symbolic levels of the planets, the Moon, Mercury, Venus, the Sun, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, the inward court. Then, crossing another abyss and the narrow bridge over it, they reached the top and the equivalent of Dante's Paradiso, the inner court. And the ascension, plus the final steps into paradise, meant a series of 10 steps. This means that this site was reserved for only those initiates who had attained perfection. In mystic terms, annihilation and the end of reincarnation. Number 10. the completed cycle or return to unity. The small Kingstone lies 40 metres from the circle to the west-southwest and is clearly visible from it, and I'm sure Queens used it too. The Dream of Scipio. Cicero on the Republic, 6, pages 14 to 26. Yes, you must use your best efforts, he replied, and be sure that it is not you who are mortal, but only your body. Nor is it you whom your outward form represents. Your spirit is your true self, not that bodily form that can be pointed out with the finger. Know yourself, therefore, to be a god. If indeed a god is a being that lives, feels, remembers, and foresees, that rules, governs, and moves the body over which it is set, just as the supreme intelligence above us rules this world, and just as that eternal intelligence moves the universe, which is partly mortal, so an eternal spirit moves the fragile body.